welcome to today's webinar. Just going to give it another few seconds here to allow people time to log in. It's a nice sunny day here in Ottawa. We've got Paul joining from out in BC, which is apparently always sunny, right, Paul?
Sure.
All right.
We're in the Pacific Northwest. Are you? I don't
In
think
my
that.
mind, BC is always sunny.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got still people trickling in here, but we'll start off. Glad that everybody could join us here today. We've got a really timely webinar happening about attracting and converting leads in a down market. So according to CHBA's HMI, our Housing Market Index, which is a quarterly survey that we do from builders across the country, and it assesses current selling conditions and sales traffic, as well as selling expectations over the next 6 months. We know that industry sentiment right now is still really low in a lot of areas of the country. And home renovation activity also still very much a challenge. So the goal for today's webinar is to give you some advice to build out your marketing program. And just a note, we did ask you when you registered for this webinar what your company's currently doing for marketing, and about half of you on today's call said you don't currently have a marketing program in place. So hopefully this webinar will help you out. And we'll look at ways to increase your lead flow, focusing on key actions that are affordable for you to implement for quick results. And there are going to be several takeaway resources provided as well. So before we get started, just some housekeeping items. Everybody is currently muted. This is an interactive webinar though, and Paul will be taking questions throughout. So you will see a question panel somewhere on your screen right now, and you can ask questions through that panel, and we'll get to them at some point during the webinar. And also just a reminder that you can manage your own view, so you can kind of slide that screen over and make the PowerPoint bigger or smaller, however you'd like. We are recording this webinar and it'll be available to members tomorrow, along with the slides and all of the resources at chba.ca/webinars. So with that, I'd like to give a very warm welcome to Paul Atherton, who is CEO of Highspire. Paul's got a great presentation for us today with a lot of tips and tricks for all of you builders, whether it's custom builds, production builds, as well as renovations. And Paul is going to get into a little bit more about his company in just a minute, but to kick things off, we're actually going to start with a bit of a poll here. So I just want to see where everybody's from. You should be able to see question up there. Which province are you coming from? Please take 5 seconds to fill that out. I'll give you just another little bit here. Preliminary results show, not surprisingly, based on population, good chunk coming from Ontario, BC, and Alberta. So I'll just share those results there. Thanks for everybody who answered that. And we're going to go right into a second poll. Once I can find my window back again. Chloe, if you have that window, can you play it? Poll number 2. Here we go. So what are you working with? How many employees do you currently have? As you think about building out those marketing programs, we'll get a sense for how many people do you have at your disposal? You have a small team of just yourself? Do you have 1 to 3 full-time staff with you? 4 to 10? Or you have staff of more than 10? And surprisingly, so far, we've got about half of the people on the call have more than 10. Give another couple seconds there. All right, I'm going to share those results. So Paul, you can see, here's Paul taking a picture of those results. We got almost more than half people have more than 10. So that's great in terms of what you might be able to do with your marketing and growing it going forward. Okay, with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Paul.
Sure. All right. Thanks, Natasha. And thanks everybody for taking the time to be with us this morning and afternoon for most of you who are in Ontario. Yeah, this is a very exciting time for builders. And the reason why is because I might ruffle some feathers here when I open this way, but most marketing efforts that builders do has some ground to make up because they're very good at building. Okay, I'll just let that sit with you all for a second. A lot of builders, and this is our own anecdotal experience in our company, have quite a lot of ground to make up. And why that's a really important consideration for people listening is because there's a huge opportunity for you. Okay, so um, if your competition has some ground to make up in marketing, and hopefully by the end of this presentation, we can give you some uh, very like actionable incremental improvements to make, you'll see gains as a result, okay? My hope, my hope is that literally every single owner in here can do things to take their companies um, to like an advanced position within 1, 2, 3, or 4 months after this presentation as a result of what we talk about. And some of you, hopefully, even an unrecognizably advanced position, okay? Um, uh, the best time to gain market share, like we see on the slide here, is when others stop fighting for it. And because we are right now in a flatlining and a negative business cycle, um, your competition is most likely pulling back. Now's the time to really press in, okay? So, about us. We're not a marketing company, although it might seem like it. Next slide, please. So we just do one thing. We focus on working with organizations to build wealth. And with that, we focus on helping them do two things, becoming a self-managed company or having the options to become a self-managed company. And somewhere along that trajectory, we help them to become their own customer by becoming real estate developers. Because, next slide, please. If you talk to anybody who's built wealth, they've typically done one of three things. They've operated a company, they've bought and sold assets more efficiently than the rest of the marketplace, and they've added value to those assets while they've owned them. Everybody listening, this is so important. You can see massive gains in your life if you can do all three of these things at the same time. And what business model does that? Construction companies who are their own customers. Okay. Next slide. This is an example of someone that I've worked with personally. Um, he started his construction company, wonderful gentleman, started his construction company when he was 48 years old. Okay, now they do around 25 million a year. They're in residential construction. And during that time, they were deploying free cash flow into real estate. And this is like what we saw. Okay, so this example I think illustrates perfectly what's possible if you can focus on doing those three activities at once. Okay. So, next slide. The whole concept of becoming a self-managed company, why are we talking about marketing? I'm talking about building wealth. What does marketing have to do with that? Because marketing gives you that wind. It gives you those options to become self-managed if you want, if that's something that you truly want for your organization. That one of the commonalities they see with companies that are able to do this, they have great market wind. And what they've done is they've capitalized on that gap that I talked about earlier that's in the marketplace. Okay, these are the levels that you typically see companies will advance through as they become self-managed. Most organizations never get past level 2, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But for those organizations that want to get all the way to level 5, this is typically the steps that you see. You'll be able to, like Natasha said, you'll be able to download this presentation afterwards on the CHBA website, so you can go through this list and see where you stand. But yeah, in order to do that, you need market win. So our company has a heavy action bias to helping organizations build great marketing programs. And it doesn't matter what size they are. They're a $30, $40 million juggernaut, or they're doing 2 million a year. This material is applicable for everybody. Okay. Natasha, is there any comments you want to make there at all?
No, I just, we saw that a lot of people were over 10, but I would imagine most companies in Canada that run residential construction are small businesses. So I think a lot of people are probably in that bracket there. I'm a little bit biased. I think marketing and communications is kind of the cornerstone to any good business. But yeah, I'm excited to see what we got here.
Awesome. All right. We don't spend too much time here. Since we focus on real estate, our company has a lot of experience working in the real estate sector. So this is just, as to pick some of our experience. Next slide. So today's objectives. These are the clear outcomes that we're going to focus on for today. We're going to give you simple strategies for attracting leads. Okay. We're going to give you marketing principles that we've seen work again and again and again with other companies. Okay, so we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're not experimenting with anything. We're just going to give you playbooks that you can just take and deploy into your organization right away. And hopefully, we built enough credibility with you where you can just take this, integrate it into your company, and trust us because I promise you, it's my bold claim here. I promise you it will work. Okay. So, like I said, I think Natasha said, we're going to have some resources to give you. So, I think there's a package of like uh, 10 documents that you can download. But in a nutshell, we're giving you a standard operating procedure to increase revenue. We're giving you the procedure that we use with businesses who come to us who um, have just like a bit of a desert on the horizon as far as cash flow. We're going to give you a dashboard to manage marketing, a simple dashboard to manage marketing data. We're going to give you example ads that have been proven to work throughout North America. And we're also going to give you a referral program. Okay. Next slide. So I was talking to Natasha, you and some of your folks there. It is a bit of a bloodbath right now. Uh,
Not
uh,
not everywhere, but there's definitely big
other,
pockets of the country that are Ontario specifically. Things aren't a ton better out west, but yeah.
here's what I really want to get across. Okay, yes, we are in a negative business cycle in some areas and a flatlining business cycle in others, but um, uh, we got to have a winning mindset. Okay, right now, like I said already, I really want to reiterate here. Your competition is most likely pulling back. Now's the time to double down and push in, because as you compound your visibility, when this downturn goes in the other direction, you're going to see accelerated gains as a result, okay? Because the marathon is going to hit a hill, and when the market turns around and you're at the crest of that hill, you're going to have about a 2-minute head start over everybody behind you. And by the time they crest the hill, you're going to be way in front of them.
Yeah, you'll
That's
have time to hone all your processes and everything, right?
Exactly. That's why we want to focus on marketing right now. And recession doesn't mean there's no work. It just means the area specific GDP has dropped. That's it. Like this is, my home province of British Columbia. This is the curve of what we're seeing. There's still $9 billion of GDP available to go grab in residential construction. So there's still work out there. Okay.
Okay, let's do
Uh,
it.
Bad. All right, let's dive in. Okay. Uh, might ruffle some feathers here. Typically low performing companies, they rely on word of mouth. They just kind of wait for the phone to ring, to be blunt. There's limited brand awareness. Like they haven't been intentional about getting their brand out into the world. Lead generation there's a consistency to it that has been tracked. They don't understand, or they haven't been focusing on uh, the marketing data that's available to them. Um, they don't know where leads are coming from, and they haven't been focusing on having a good presence online. Okay. High performing companies who do this well, by the way, that are doing 2 million a year or 30 million a year, they have an effective brand. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. They have a marketing funnel that they're managing, and can be a simple activity, and they have a good online and community presence. Okay. Next slide. This is just a bell curve for those of you that have looked at bell curves before. This is if you want to be in the upper echelon of construction companies in your area. Those three things that I mentioned and some of the things that we're going to talk about today, if you focus on those, it's just the way life works. You'll pull yourself down into the fun side of the bell curve. Next slide. So, um, look, when companies come to us and they say, "Hey, look, sales are down. There's a desert in front of me. Uh, I don't like cash flow looks bad. What do I do?" This is exactly what we get them to do, okay? There's 4 steps. So if anyone's in that boat right now, this is the slide, and there's a full SOP that you can download that takes you through this step by step. What we do is we get them to reforecast fast. And what that means is we go tell them, okay, go to your accountant, go to a controller, whoever understands the financial position of your company. Break down all the jobs that you currently have, any sales prospects that are likely to sign, and give a good cash projection of your organization based on the reality of where you're at. Okay. Second, activate dormant leads. Dormant leads are people who have said no, maybe, or they've ghosted you. And if I ask for a show of hands on how many people over the last year have had like 30, 40, or 50 people like that, there'd be a lot of hands, okay? So what we do is we package our offer to make it irresistible to those folks, and then you'll find that people will start to re-engage. Third thing that we do is we sharpen our sales process. Okay, you just got to have an action bias to closing, quick follow-up, and then you rally your team. Forget about sales goals, forget about cash flow goals, just focus on process goals. So if you have 80 people to call, you just wake up in the morning, you say, my goal is to call 8 of them until the list runs out. And then when that list runs out, I'm either going to repeat the phone call cycle or I'm just going to go build a new list. But that's the goal. And I promise you that we've never seen, I tend to speak in superlatives, so some people might roll their eyes, but honestly, I've never seen this not work. Okay, so we're going to talk about different like lead streams to manage and some tactics around that. But in a nutshell, if you get anything out of this presentation, this thing right here will get you is probably has the highest likelihood of generating quicker revenue for you. Natasha, anything to add there?
We did have a question come in that I think the person saw off of that bell curve chart. They're asking, what does KPIs mean?
Oh, okay, great question. So that's a key performance indicator. It's just a fancy way of saying your marketing data. So a KPI in marketing would be how many leads you get. How many of those leads turn into qualified leads? That would be another key performance indicator. And then another key performance indicator would be uh, how many how many of those qualified leads converted into contracts. So it's just a fancy way of saying data or variables or numbers that you want to track.
Yeah. And if you're not tracking it right now, should be step one.
Yeah, and yeah, totally. And we have a great slide on here that kind of goes through this. So
Right. Going.
yeah, good question. Um, if anyone's never seen something like this before, this is a marketing funnel. Okay, every construction company has one, whether they know it exists or not. Um, you have the top of funnel. These are people that are aware of you, or they have the ability to, when they do a search, they like, for somehow your brand is going to come across their eyeballs, and then if your core offering looks palatable to them, they're going to call you. Okay, and then so say you have 100 people in the top of the funnel. The people who are going to call you might be 20, and then the people who are going to close might be 3. But everyone's got a funnel. The key is what we want to do is do everything in our power to manage the top of the funnel. So we can be intentional about increasing that surface area of potential sales prospects that are going to have a higher likelihood of calling us. Okay, next slide. So I think this picture here kind of illustrates what I'm saying. Like I said, most companies they rely on referrals, maybe a little bit of online advertising, and in a lot of cases we see there's a lot of ground to make up there. And then the keep things simple, there's three fish. Okay, you do that, you got three fish. If you do all this other stuff that we're talking about, which is simple and not that expensive, you just have more lures in the water and more interest from the fish. Like honestly, I asked AI, I was like, hey, how do I explain this concept? And this is the picture that it gave me. So I hope
Okay,
this
so if you don't like the artwork, blame AI. So you said this is not that expensive to get to this scalable fish in the sea. Like what are we talking for not that expensive?
Right. So, yeah, just so we're going to go through these lead streams. Great question. So, dormant leads, referral programs, online ads, and having a good community presence. This can be these can all be cheap activities. It can be, really expensive. Just to put numbers to it, dormant leads, you can do this yourself. You can just get a subscription on MailChimp and have an email and a text campaign going out to people. That's not very expensive. It just takes a little bit of time to set it up. Referral programs, also not very expensive. You just have to be intentional about staying top of mind with people that you've done work with. Online ads, this can be a little bit spendy. Typically, what you're looking at is it varies, but some good companies that I know will charge you about $2,000 a month to manage an online advertising program. And then the ads themselves the price to pay Facebook and Instagram and Google, et cetera, can range anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 or more, depending on what kind of an ROI you're seeing. Okay. And that's something that you want to scale into, by the way. Like you only want to make investment decisions based on spend. So in other words, if you have good data, you'll say, I'm going to spend $20,000 this year on online ads, and most likely low end, high end see, 4 to 8 contracts booked as a result of that. And then community presence again. Building a brand can be as cheap as just hiring somebody on Upwork.com or hiring a pro for $100,000. But
Lots of
like
options.
what's that?
Lots of options, like
There's
depending
lots of
on
options.
how
Yeah.
much you've got.
But like I said, I know companies that are, not even doing 2 million a year yet, and they're doing all of this really well. Okay. And here's again, I'll go back to it. The barrier to entry here is actually quite low because I promise you most of your competition, it probably has a lot of ground to make up. So if you put some focus here, over time, your future selves in a year will thank you.
We have a couple more questions coming, Paul.
Right.
Somebody asked, do you use or do you recommend using a CRM for tracking data?
100%. Yeah.
Maybe explain CRM for those of us who aren't with the
Yeah.
acronym soup.
I mean, CRM actually stands for Customer Relationship Management Tool, I think.
Yeah.
Gotten in trouble for this before during talks where I said, yeah, you use a CRM to track your leads, and people go, it's managed for managing customers, and they're not wrong. Um, when you have some good help in the office, that's probably the time to go and get a CRM to manage your leads and your KPIs. Okay. But for anybody who's just starting out, just get a feel for it. Like you're just do it manually. If you hire a company to manage your online ads, they're going to hook you up in a CRM like Go High Level or HubSpot right away if they're good. Okay. Frankly, honestly, if I was starting a construction company from scratch, I would get a marketing, like a CRM to track my leads right away. I honestly, I'd be honest, I would build a great brand right away and I'd immediately get a CRM and I'd have some capital ready to go and start marketing and gaining market presence like as soon as possible. That's just me, but some people, they're a little gun shy with cash right now. So
We do have a few more questions, but they're specifically about the following up with the dormant leads. So I'm going to hold those questions until you dive into that a little bit more.
awesome.
Look at that.
There we go. Okay. Okay, so why do dormant leads matter? This is a touchy subject for people. 'Cause my own anecdotal experiences might not be true for everybody listening. Okay, so forgive me if again I ruffle some feathers. My own anecdotal experience is if with working with companies is if a, if a sales prospect says no, maybe, and they ghost you, typically company owners or sales staff are going to just give them one phone call. Maybe they'll feel a bit offended. Um, because they feel like they, had a human connection and they just won't call them again. People drop out of your sales pipeline for a lot of reasons, and a lot of times it has nothing to do with you. They just don't feel comfortable telling you the real reason. It might be finance related, they might have, family problems, whatever it is. But all those people that you spent time with, putting estimates together, uh, investing your own like dollars into nurturing those leads, when they drop out, those people, we know they still have work that needs to be done. A lot of them probably have capital. Um, and if they didn't go and hire another contractor, there's fruit on the vine here to go grab, okay? Anything to add there, Natasha? I feel like this is an important concept before we move on.
Yeah, well, I really like your thing here that says most dead quotes are warmer than new leads, right? It's always easier to kind of hang on to people that you've already got that starting relationship with and go out and find entirely new ones. So
Yeah. Yeah, most companies, by the way, they focus on new leads all the time. They just want new leads. Like I said, there's a lot of money we're leaving on the table by if we're ignoring all those other people that we've talked to in the past.
yeah. So
Um,
we did have a question come in asking, like, how do you reactivate those dormant leads without dropping your fees? Like, can you just call them up again? It doesn't necessarily mean the quotes changed or anything.
it's up to you. We're going to actually talk about this. We have a process for reactivating dormant leads, but uh, honestly, I've personally seen situations where uh, people just called them up and said, "Hey, have you ever? I know we talked a year ago. If you didn't do this project yet, we'd love to continue the conversation." Seen it lots where, the customer on the other end goes, "Oh, thanks for calling. We went to Europe and then something happened with our kid and they have every excuse in the book and they're like, yeah, 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 we need this done. Thank you. I was going to call you next month anyways. Let's talk." And they didn't drop their fees or anything. They said, "Yeah, okay, we got to quote because a year's gone by. Yeah, yeah, we totally get it."
Yeah.
And that project comes in. You don't have to do that. Um, the process that I'm going to give you though is for companies where like we need cash. Okay. So in those situations, sometimes you do want to make the offer irresistible as you can to as many people as you can to start generating cash flow. Before I talk about that, I want to talk about one more concept though, if we go to the next slide. The reason why, for those people here who are like to think about KPIs and marketing data, the reason why we want to have a good nurturing campaign for people that who've already engaged our business is because here's a great example. Okay, I'll just get into it. So if a company gets 5 to 15 qualified leads a month, only 1 to 3 of those leads might turn into a contract. But at the end of a year, over 12 months, that's 48 to 144 people who have a likelihood of being ready later. This is why we have to have a good nurturing campaign that is keeping our company top of mind with those folks. A lot of people don't spend enough time nurturing those folks, okay? That makes sense. Actually, most companies don't. But if there's companies on here that do that, you're
Head of the
definitely on
game.
the right
Yeah.
side of that bell curve that I described. So next slide. Right. Okay. So how do you reactivate dormant leads? It's an email, text, and a phone call campaign. Next slide. So uh, look, again, you don't have to drop your fees. I promise you, if you call up all the people over the last, 6 months to 2 years who didn't move ahead with you, they said no, maybe, or, they ghosted you or whatever. Um, just doing that alone will give you work. You don't have to drop your fees. The process that will result in uh, quicker cash flow, like higher cash flow, higher revenue for your business, though, is this. Unfortunately, if or for people, like I said, have a desert in front of them, this is what the process is. You just say, send them make the value irresistible. Okay, so a lead. This is an example of a lead who was looking at a bathroom renovation. You just send them an email and you say, "Hey, we'd love to work with you. We have just a few spots left. Just seeing where you're at. We have a $2,000 spa upgrade package that's being included, and you get 10% off your renovation, just whatever it is. And this offer is only for another 10 days. We just have to book our calendar. Anybody who didn't do that work is going to see that offer as being quite irresistible, and you will get more fish biting your lure. Okay, so that's it. So the process looks like this. You go back, talk to all those leads, or look at all those leads. Hopefully, you've been tracking all the people that you were discussing the potential of doing work for, and then you craft a irresistible offer for those people.
And obviously, this example is for a renovation, but it applies to whatever, right? You're doing
Yeah,
custom builds, even production homes, like just get back in front of people with the original product or idea that they were looking at and somehow figure out how to make it a bit more enticing.
yeah, I've seen this with commercial construction. I've seen this work with custom homes even. Custom homes, it's like it's a little harder to say we're going to give you 10% off your custom home. Like just
Yeah,
make your offering in the context of
whatever works for your company.
something that's practical. Yeah. But with custom homes, it's a little different. But yeah, yeah, yeah. But with renovations, this is a little easier to do.
We
But how
uh
does
we
this work with
we
custom homes though?
we did have a comment come in, so not a question, just a comment, but this person said when you said that dead leads are warmer than new leads, they wanted to raise their hands and definitely.
Yeah, it's an interesting play on words. Okay, and like I said, we're giving you a full SOP on this with like good examples of what that irresistible offer looks like. You can just download off CHBA's website,
Yep.
and it's all in format that you can put your own brand on it and make it yours. So here's the call to action. Okay, simple. Like I said, everybody from the last 6 to 24 months who, didn't move ahead with you for whatever reason, probably has nothing to do with you, by the way. Just give them a call, um, check it out, connect with your community, see what's going on. Choose a simple incentive just to reactivate them. Send out an email campaign. MailChimp is a great system to do that. Someone talked about CRMs like HubSpot, Zoho. Like some of the construction CRMs do this too. And then you just follow up with personal phone calls and just have good process goals behind it. And again, bold claim, never witnessed a situation once where this did not result in revenue. By the way, every case study I had, they did have like over 50 people to call. So for those of you who might be have only been in business for the last year, it's less of a sample size to choose from, but
We had a great question come in saying, how do you apply this method as a custom builder who's not the one typically engaging with the clients or reaching out to the clients? They usually work with the architect.
ah, okay. So leads are coming from the architect.
I assume so. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's a really good question, actually. Typically with architects, the thing that they care about is their reputation and how smooth the job is going to go. If the architect is slow and they don't have work, there's not too much you can do. If the architect has work, they're just not giving you leads for whatever reason, there's probably an opportunity to re-engage them or go find more architects. Typically, architects work with you and they'll have access to your network as well. Um, yeah, this
I,
process does work. You have to make the offer irresistible to the customer who is focusing on the work scope and the cost. So I think you would just pass this offer on to the architect who can then pass it on to their customers. For those of you who do work with architects, though, there's a guy out there named Paul Sanaman, Sanaman. And he's got a lot of great information on YouTube. He's actually a vendor partner of ours on how to work with architects and generate a lot of leads from them. I hope that answered the question. It's a little more tactical, but
Yeah, and if things are slow for the builder, they might be slow for the architect too. So maybe, the two of you getting together and figuring out what that attractive offer would be is, you could go that route as well.
yeah, you just got to increase the surface area of architects that you're working with too. And typically, if architects know that you've worked with other ones, they're gonna work with you. But it's a lot easier if you can pass them
Yeah.
work as well, and it's easier. Architects, but one thing I know about architects is they have a higher likelihood of working with you if you have a really good brand with a lot of intentionality behind it.
All right. We still have a few slides to get through and the questions are pouring in. So we're gonna go a little bit faster here
Okay.
and
Oh,
I'll interrupt you a little bit less with questions, but we'll hold some to the end as well.
sure.
All right.
Okay, referrals. One of the commonalities you see with, okay, I won't talk too fast here.
They got the recording.
One of the commonalities you see with companies that have that wind, that market wind, is they typically have a very intentional referral program. Okay, they don't just sit around and wait for the phone to ring. They have an intentional referral program with past clients and with realtors, which we'll get into. But with past clients, these are just some tips. Okay, I'm just gonna put some stuff out there, take it or leave it. People have already built with you. You already have great, and they're going to be your biggest fan. And people who have done remodels, they built custom homes. That's the thing they just tend to talk about for years to come with all their friends and their friends' friends, et cetera. And one of the first questions that they'll get asked is, "Oh, what was it like working with your contractor?" All right. And if you did a good job with them, that's a referral. Thing is, you want to stay top of mind with these people. So how you stay top of mind is a newsletter campaign, birthday cards, et cetera. And there's a lot of cheap automated ways online to do this properly. I don't have this on here. A newsletter campaign nowadays, like hire someone on Upwork. It's like $50 a newsletter. Just send one out a month. It's fine. And now with the large language models, AI, like you can bang these off very quickly. Another thing that works really well, coffee table photo album. Okay, after you're done somebody's project, you go on Vistaprint or Blurb or one of these sites and just load in all the pictures of that project from start to finish. Hopefully, you have pictures of your client on the job site throughout the life cycle of that project, and then just give them a photo album with your company's brand on it. What they're going to do is put that on their coffee table, and it's going to stay there for years. Everybody coming over is going to see your brand. Best $30 or $50 you'll ever spend, trust me. Okay, so how you generate referrals? Just call up all your past clients and just say, hey, my family, work means a lot to me and my family. And hey, if you can think of anyone who you can pass our name on to, it would just mean a lot for my family and the families of the people that work for us. Altruism works better. This is my own anecdotal experience. We typically don't want to tell them, hey, and if you do that, we're going to give you a $500 voucher for the spa in town. Typically just say, hey, this would really be important for my family. And then when you get a lead and that lead turns into work, that's when they get the gift. Another thing too, most people are asking for referrals right at the end of the job. This might be surprising, but typically customers just want you off their property at that point. The best time to ask for referrals is when the contract's been signed. People have mobilized, you've mobilized to the job site, so the excitement's high, customers are excited. And then 3 months after the job is complete and you're going back to do a final check, okay? That's when you ask for a referral. When the job is done, give them the keys, give them a generous returnable gift, and just leave them alone for 90 days. Okay. All right. Should we get on to my favorite, which is realtors?
Okay,
All right.
we got a poll here. Chloe, can you run that last poll? So a quick question to people. Are you currently using a referral program through a real estate agent? Yes or no? No judgment. Just are you or are you not? And we're on a time crunch, so we'll give you 5 more seconds to answer yes or no. All right. So it looks like about 60, sorry, I shared that too fast. 65% of you are not currently using a referral program.
Okay, cool. That's actually good. So for those of you that are, it's good. It takes a lot of courage. A lot of people don't work with realtors. Realtors are great. They know who's buying, selling, who's planning renovations. They have bigger net. By the way, typically realtors have bigger networks of your target sales prospects than you do. Okay, so it's really important for realtors to be thinking about your company when they're out there in the world doing their job. How you do that? Simple. It's called just the realtor referral program. It's a 1% fee. It can be whatever you want. This is what we tell people, and it seems to work. It's a 1% fee on the project cost, and typically that gets paid out 60 days after contract signing. That's what we say. Look, you can download the realtor referral program. This is a good flyer you can hand out to realtors in your area that you happen to respect and that you want to do business with. And then there's that picture with all the text on it is the actual agreement. So just take that, put your own brand on it, get it in front of realtors, and watch the leads pour in from these people. Okay. They work they work on commission, man. Like these guys, this will speak to them.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Online marketing. This is gonna ruffle some feathers. Most online marketing that we see has a, opportunities for improvement. Okay. We don't have enough time to really get into the nuances of it, but we're going to talk about some really important basics here. There's a lot of vanity metrics that people are tracking that don't actually result in understanding whether or not um, you're getting the conversions that you need, i.e., your money spent on marketing is resulting in contracts. Okay. Another thing that we see is often people are spending too much on SEO and nowadays getting a good presence on AI before leads are flowing and before a solid brand is built and you have good community presence already. I get it. You kind of need SEO to do that. But I've seen this is for companies that are like only doing SEO. You're going to have better traction just taking the $24,000 a year that you're spending on SEO and putting it into marketing on Facebook or Instagram or Houzz or one of these, or like sponsoring an event in your community. Okay. And by the way, if you are investing in SEO, I'm not saying stop. I'm just saying you got to just make sure you're investing in things that are giving you like very clear attribution. But if you are investing in SEO, I'm not saying not to do it. I hope I'm being clear here. If you are investing in SEO, make sure your contractor has tactics and strategies to give you a good presence on AI. Every month, more and more people are moving to asking ChatGPT which contractors they should be using and what to think about when they're doing a upstairs remodel or building a custom home, than using Google. Okay, so again, whoever's doing your SEO must have a strategy for boosting your presence on the AI platforms. Okay. That means they're updating your website like every week or two.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of questions on this, but okay. Uh, this is the dashboard that we give to people to track their marketing data, their KPIs that we talked about. Okay. Um, this is available for download. Just grab it off CHBA's website. If you fill this information in, so you can see in that, if you look on the screen, you can see where it says marketing initiatives. All you're going to do is write down your various marketing streams. And then beside it, every week, somebody in your organization is going to, or you are going to write in how many marketing qualified leads you got. That's just how many raw leads you have, just leads that came in. How many of those leads were qualified? That means a qualified lead is someone that you want to do work with. And then you're going to document how many contracts you got that week. Okay, and then what you'll see after 6 months, after a year, you'll start to see what your return on investment is per marketing stream. Now, as far as conversions go, you're probably wondering, a good question someone I hope is asking right now, but I'll answer it anyways, is what are good conversion rates? Raw lead, you can watch the recording later. Raw lead to qualified lead should be about 40 to 60%. Okay, and a qualified lead to contract, we target 40. That's the target typically. Now, you can see an acronym in there that says DBA. That's a design build agreement. For those people that do their own in-house design and they sign design agreements with customers, the conversion rate from design agreement to contract with a lot of companies is about 60. The target should be 85 or 90. So I don't know what else
We
to say
did
there.
have a we did have a question come in asking, what do you think is a good benchmark for cost per lead? And I assume they mean a qualified lead at this point, right?
Yeah. Whew.
So this person said, for example, $25. It's $25 to get a qualified lead.
Wow, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good. I've seen it actually like because some people are spending, $20,000, $30,000 a year on advertising on Meta, and they're getting two or three contracts from it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that you have to track though. Uh, if you're spending, this is getting a little bit technical, but if you're spending, um, say if you generate $100,000, if you're say, let's make the numbers easy. If you spend $10,000 on marketing and your company is running at a 25% gross profit, if that $10,000 in marketing results in $40,000 of work, that marketing is paid for itself. So,
Gotta know your numbers.
yeah.
All right.
So generally, look, whoever's managing your marketing, give them that table. Sometimes what we see is immediately a good marketing firm will take that information, they'll reorient your whatever CRM that they're getting you to use or marketing uh, SaaS product that you're using, and they will just populate it with data and it'll be great. Or they'll already have that data at your fingertips. Other companies will say, "Oh, well, we can't really attribute leads to marketing streams very easily." That's when you have to start asking questions. Good marketing firms will see that information and say, "Yep, we'll get that information for you right away." Okay, that's actually our litmus test when we're working with organizations, when we're testing how effective their marketing programs are, is we give them that spreadsheet and they have to give us that data. Whether they give us that data in that spreadsheet or in their CRM doesn't matter. They have to give us that data. Okay.
I'm just going to jump in here because we're getting a lot of questions on the KPI table. All of the resources that Paul is going to be sharing will be available along with the recording at chba.ca/webinars tomorrow, once we've got it all up there. So you can go and do the deep dive into the material then, and a couple others, KPI, key performance indicator, SEO, search engine optimization. All right, we're going to keep going. Paul, we have so many good questions for you too. So hang tight, folks.
Fantastic. Um, so look, here's just a list of just a general checklist of ads that work for builders. They have to be visually appealing images, and we'll show you some examples of what we mean here in a second. Um, they have to have your brand colors and logo on the visual. You have to have, what's important. A lot of ads just talk about the company. Good ads talk about the customer and what their outcome is. Okay, so you're selling the desired result for the customer, not what you do. Okay, there's a clear call to action. Ideally, too, this is a really uh, a clear gain for a lot of companies. If you have good video collateral describing what you do, it could be 20 seconds, uh, or and 20 seconds is ideal. But if you have like a good about us video on your website or on YouTube, man, what do they say? A picture is 1,000 words.
20,000 words. Yep.
Videos worth a million. It's true. We see that all the time. Second companies put like a good 15, 20-second video online, they get way more viewership. How much does that cost? I've actually seen people do it with their like this and it came out great. But honestly, you should probably hire a company that does this professionally, and you're looking at about $3,000 to $6,000. The best one I ever saw actually was $14,000, but that one was like, I mean, they do work for like architects in New York, and they just have to spend that kind of money because of their clientele. But
And again, you can lead up to this stuff, right? Like if you've got
yeah,
nothing right now, start with your phone and some
totally,
creativity and at least get something. And then as you increase your sales, you can invest more into it.
totally, yeah. Yeah, most of your competition isn't doing this, so just start. Yeah, you're totally right. Right, Natasha. Next slide. So, part of the package that we're giving you is like 8 or 9 PDFs on how to like what a good online marketing program looks like. We don't have enough time to get into it. Just go download that. There's a lot of great examples. One thing we want to say is, look, on the right here is a bad ad. The picture sucks, and the ad just talks about the company. Okay. And don't worry, this is an American company somewhere, so they're not gonna look at us. And over on the right, these are what good ads look like. Okay, so you can when you read the copy, it talks about the outcome for the customer. It doesn't talk about the company because everything is about the customer. Okay. Natasha, I think you have some really good
I do, yeah. We've got some questions in here, people asking where should I be advertising, et cetera. I just want to share a little bit some of the stuff that CHBA is testing out because we also have, not like mega millions to be spending on advertising. So we're trying to get creative with some of the things that we're trying. We tried out Spotify ads. They've got a really cool program where you basically just input the text that you want, and they've got their own voice recording artists. They'll come out with audio for you. You can approve it. You can send a little video or visuals and they do it. And you can look here, like, so this would be a brand awareness, right? So we weren't actually going for clicks because it's Spotify, they're listening, but we were reaching people at half a cent per impression, which is like way lower than you'll typically get even on Meta, which is one of the cheaper ways of advertising Facebook and Instagram, right? So you can see here, that's what we were able to do with a budget of $1,300 over a couple months, just to give you an idea. Boosted ads are great on Meta. Again, if you're short on time, you want to at least be building your brand, putting content out there. You don't have to do a separate advertising campaign. You can just boost the content that you're already putting out there to reach more people. So it's just something to try if you're short on time. And again, those visuals really make all the difference. Make sure you've got really high quality visuals, videos, awesome, or at least good content, like good quality photos. We do use Google Ads occasionally. They're tricky. They're a little bit harder to set up. We've used these and Google AdWords. So AdWords, like if you were searching for, I don't know, renovator, Ottawa, then you'd want your company to come kind of closer to the top there. So just give you an idea here of kind of the cost to reach those leads. So these would be the leads on the far left-hand side of that table that Paul was talking about, right? They're not qualified leads yet. They're just those initial leads. And then again, Paul was talking about building your brand and the stuff that you should be putting out there. So on the left here, we've just got some examples of the different types of content that you could probably pull together pretty quickly and come up with like a schedule for yourself on what to put out there. And we've got some examples here of some builders that are doing great work. So look at people from across the country and see what they're doing. So here's some that we think are doing a great job. We've got RDM Design Build in Ontario, that's on the far left there. Lentil Construction in BC. Hometown Homes in Saskatchewan, that's a quickly growing company. One of the first things they did was hire a full-time person for marketing and social media because they saw the value and what that will help them grow. And then we've got Trickle Creek Homes in Alberta that's always got really engaging content on there. So lots of examples across the country. Go see what others are doing. And if you like what you see, you don't have to copy it exactly, obviously, but get some inspiration from it. All right, back over to you, Paul.
All right. Last thing before we get to questions. Really important to build a brand that sticks. There's 5 types of products that people buy. This solves my pain. This connects me to community. This makes my life easier. This feels luxurious, and this will make me more money. The beautiful aspect of running a construction company is if you brand your organization properly, you can actually answer all 5 of those questions for the customer. Okay, I have a really good example of some branding from an organization called Graham Baba Architects up here. A couple things I want to point out. It's relaxing. They have a person in their pictures. You always want to have people in your pictures, and it's a neutral person, so like everyone can kind of resonate with what's going on in this picture. and it's not a confusing uh, brand message, and it does answer a lot of those questions right there, just looking at their picture. And if you look them up online, their brand definitely communicates all this. So I think GBA down in Seattle illustrates what I'm saying perfectly. And then finally, last slide. You want consistent brand messaging across all mediums, business cards, swag, signage, website, sales collateral, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and like I said, you can pay someone 70 to $100,000 to do this for you, or you can hire somebody on Upwork to do this much cheaper. Okay, there's going to be a differential in the quality there, but the best thing you can do if you've never done this before is just invest the resources and a little bit of time and just close that gap. Okay, that's it. Should we
Get through some questions. I
yeah,
guess I'll just, yeah, maybe you can speak to this and I'll figure out
oh
which
sure.
question we're going to go first.
Yeah, I just want to say everybody, we do a lot more than marketing, and man, we get deep on marketing. Okay, I see there's a lot of questions here, and that's really good. But yeah, we were just talking about marketing today. Like I said, our mandate is to build wealth, and with that, we get deep into operations, building great teams, tax strategy, even it's incredibly important in Canada. Um, and then um, and then obviously building a self-managed company, and when it makes sense, deploying assets into real estate so you can be your own customer as well. So yeah, we have our calendar link up here in that QR code. And yeah, if this looks like it makes sense to you, just give us a call, and we'll spend 15 minutes talking about you and see what happens there. We're pretty low pressure, so anyways, love to chat, and thanks so much for your time today. And I hope everybody has some action items that they can take away and put into their business.
Yeah, so we've got a couple minutes left. Thanks for all of that, Paul. We do have quite a few questions. So if you're able to hang on and listen to Paul answer these questions, please do so. We won't necessarily end right at 3, but we'll get you out as soon as we can. The recording will be available at chba.ca/webinars, along with all that great stuff that Paul was talking about that he's giving away to you, and the slide deck so that you can go back and spend a little bit more time on some of those areas. Okay, we got some questions about leads. So this person asked if they have old leads, how often is too often to reach out? Like, should you be bugging them every month? Do you go back once a year? Do you take one more no and call it a day?
So uh, as long as you're a nice person, meaning people generally like they like talking to you, just keep calling them, man, until you get a clear answer. Like, do they still have work to do? Yeah. Do they have the capital to invest? Yeah. You just stay top of mind with them. Unless they went and hired another contractor and they tell you that they have no intention of ever doing another construction project for years to come, just say, great, love it if you could keep us in mind for the future. It means a lot to me and my family. And then that's when you
Yeah.
disengage. There's
Well, and
another
we
element to this too, where you might just not want to re-engage the people because they're jerks, to be honest. Don't have to call them.
and we were chatting earlier, Paul, like it doesn't have to necessarily be a formal re-engagement. You can just stay top of mind in other ways. Like, do you have a Christmas card mailing list? You could put those people on that list and just send them a Christmas card. It doesn't have to be like a hard sales call. It could just be reminding them that you're there and ready when they're ready.
Yeah, and show gratitude. Like say, hey, I really enjoyed our chats. Come up with, if you talked about fishing or whatever, just hey, I really enjoyed our chats and just reaching out again just to check in. Just people are people
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Somebody's asking about working with designers. So we talked about architects. If you're working with designers, should you also come up with an irresistible offer for them to pass on to clients? Would you recommend offering a referral fee for them as well?
Yes. I've never actually, most of the time, it's funny. I've seen a lot. I actually can't think of any situations where I know of anyone who's offered referral fees to designers because like the two companies go hand in hand so well. Like with realtors, like typically if they give you a lead, they're not going to make any money off of it, right? Unless you give them money. But a designer, if they give you a lead, yeah, it does go the other way because people are going to come to you and you're going to use the designer. So Yeah, you could try. I think yeah, if you to get in the door with like there's some really reputable designers out there that have a lot of options of construction companies they can work with. That might be a good way to get top of mind. I'd try it.
All right, we have a question in on what are the, okay, if you have a really limited marketing budget, what are the top three things that you should do?
Depends how limited it is. For like first thing, get a kid on Upwork to sort out your brand. Go to GBA, like Grand Baba Architects. Tell some design student on Upwork who's charging you 15 bucks an hour to build you a website with AI that copies what they do. If I'm being honest, like that's exactly what. And then I would get some good video collateral with my iPhone right away. So sort out the brand. And then I would definitely manage a Facebook and Instagram account myself, or if I'd get a family member to do it. You really got to get that online traction. And if you don't use a company, that saves you 2,000 a month right there. Um, and then I would have a like that referral program, that's free. I'd do that in a second. And then what I would probably do is hand out neighborhood flyers. We didn't talk about this, but neighborhood flyers are a very cheap way to get top of mind with people. And it really depends what your core service offering is. If your average job size is quite small, like fences and backyard spaces that don't require permits, you can usually hustle up quite a lot of work using just flyers.
All right. Besides Facebook and Google, any other ad platform that you would really recommend looking into?
Yeah, let's see, Meta, Facebook, House. Um, what was one I heard of the other day? Most people are just using those. Yeah, that's the problem with these presentations. Sometimes people, I'm not saying this is the case here, but sometimes people log in and they want to know the secret place online where all the rich people can't find a contractor. Building a marketing program is about getting those 10-20% incremental gains over your competition again and again and again and again. And eventually that flywheel effect tends to work in your favor. So yeah, like I wouldn't say, hey, just take your meta ad and put it over onto House and that's where you'll see the gains. I would say focus on having just a good meta ad and have a video that runs and have like a good Instagram account going. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, pick up the phone. Architects are great sources of leads too. That tip I gave earlier to just check out Paul Sanneman's stuff on YouTube, man. Yeah. That right there is free. Like you can just follow what he says on YouTube and you'll crush it.
Just a note, somebody mentioned in the comments that it may be illegal to pay architects a referral fee. So make sure you check in your local area. Full disclaimer for everything that we say. Check with your local municipal, provincial laws
Yep.
for that
Maybe,
stuff. Yep.
maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Um, Somebody was asking about any value in Pinterest. I think the big takeaway from Paul is like figure out where your clients are and go there, and then figure out realistically what you have time to do. Some ads you can kind of repurpose across platforms. If you're building for House or building for Instagram, it may be fine to just put it on Pinterest. And if it takes you 5 seconds, go for it. But if you don't have the time, focus on the ones that are really going to push the needle. And then maybe we'll take one last question just because we are 5 minutes over here. So, this person said, do you recommend getting in front of your leads that fit your caps directly? That's CAPS. I actually don't know what that is. Through their
Oh,
personal
sales.
communities. Sorry?
Sandler sales. Nice.
Okay. Example, golf courses, yachts, etc., yacht clubs, etc.
All right, all right, story time. Okay, and some of you might know this guy. I do know someone in Vancouver, small construction company, went and leased a Lamborghini and joined the supercar club. He's got a big company now. We didn't talk about networking. Maybe I should have. You're totally right. Like you got to go where there's a target rich environment. 100%. I'm not saying to go lease a Lamborghini, by the way. But like one of my friends sends his kids to private school in Victoria here, and he said the work that he gets just from the parents of his kids' friends like pays for their tuition 10 times over every year. So yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
All right. We will end there. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us today. I got a lot of comments coming through, thanking you for this presentation. Great stuff. They're looking forward to seeing all of the goodies that you're providing for afterwards. So once again, everybody, you'll be able to see the recording. You can see it up on the screen there, chba.ca webinars. And thank you so much, Paul, for joining us today from Highspire.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Natasha, and thank you everyone for joining. This has been fun.
All right. Bye, everybody.